Thank you for staying with us. I am Felicity Ezewike. Our coverage tonight begins in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, with judicial matters. The Supreme Court has affirmed the financial autonomy of Nigeria's 774 local government areas. In its judgment on Thursday, a 7-member panel of the court unanimously upheld the suit brought by the federal government to strengthen the independence of local governments in the country. A member of the panel, Emmanuel Agim, who delivered the court's lead judgment, held that the local governments across the country should from Thursday receive their allocations directly from the Accountant General of the Federation. The new arrangement ordered by the Supreme Court empowers the Accountant General of the Federation to bypass the state governments in the monthly disbursement of federal allocations to the local governments. The local government is Nigeria's third tier of government, the level of government closest to the grassroots. Reacting, a former governor of Delta State, James Ibori, has faulted the Supreme Court's judgment on local government autonomy. According to him, the Supreme Court's ruling undermines the principle of federalism as outlined in Section 162, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution, which mandates the distribution of funds from the federal accounts among federal, state and local governments. Ibori adds that Section 6 requires states to maintain a state joint local government account for their allocations. The former governor is of the opinion that this decision challenges true federalism by allowing federal interference in local government administration, a domain traditionally reserved for state control. Ibori stated that the implications are significant and wants the decision reviewed to uphold federalism. Staying with reactions, there has been diverse of them trailing the Supreme Court judgment, which has granted full financial autonomy to local government areas. The judgment instituted against state governments by the federal government now empowers direct payment of monthly allocations into the accounts of local government councils, a deviation from the joint account procedure practiced in the past and empowered by the Constitution. News Centre's Marvelous Obomanu has details.
The judgment by the Supreme Court has brought an end to several decades-long controversy over the funding of local government areas, especially in the light of releases from the Federation account. The court ruled that payment by the Federation Allocation Accounts Committee should henceforth be paid directly to local government accounts, a deviation from the previous joint accounts payment as prescribed by the Constitution. While this has been abused in the past by state governors, many say the judgment will make the local governments more effective and empower them to bring development to the grassroots.
Democracy cannot be entrenched in all the 774 local governments in Nigeria. Our people cannot see rapid development. So we just want to thank God Almighty for giving us a president like Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has had the courage to take this step by coming to the proper place to say, let the proper interpretation be made to give life to the third tier. Enough of the intimidation by forces who do not want democracy to exist in Nigeria.
The Lordship came to a conclusion that money due to local government shall henceforth be paid directly from the Federation account to the 774 local government and 6 municipal council in Abuja.
Today's judgment is historic and iconic judgment that has restored grassroots democracy, which our emperor governors had dampened for the last 25 years.
Counsels to the governors say they will study the judgment and decide on the next course of action. However, others urge the governors to abide by the judgment.
We'll get the certified true copy of the judgment as a body. The body of State Attorneys General of the Federation will study it and then we'll come up with our statement on it.
The judgment also raises concerns on the fate of local development councils created by state governments, especially relating to their funding.
Are there creations of the Constitution? If they are not included in the 774 local government and 6 councils in Abuja.
With local governments now given a free rein to determine the course of development in their areas, citizens have been tasked to be more vigilant and hold them accountable to ensure the proficient management of their funds.
20.6% of federal allocation will be useful in transforming our communities. Other will be needed in the supplement from the state and the federal government. But if we allow the 20.6% federal allocation to go down the drain, as the governors have done, then it will make this judgment meaningless.
The judgment changes the political calculations in many states, as there will be no more excuses for local governments to deny citizens at the grassroots good governance. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Oboman.
Thank you very much, Marvelous. To discuss this, we're joined by two gentlemen. George Ashiru is the chairman, African Democratic Congress, and Dayo Ajibola is a legal practitioner and a former local government secretary at Akiyele local government in Ibadan, Oyo State. Gentlemen, thank you very much for giving us your time. George, let's start with you. There has been diverse reactions on this ruling. Let's get yours specifically.
Well, the reaction we would have is very predictably that we support it. We do believe that in a lot of instances, state governments have determined which local governments to put priorities in terms of development based on political patronage. So we have instances, for example, in Lagos, that if there is a local government in which the governor does not get a certain number of votes, possibility is very much there that that local government will not get the right kind of resources. So this allows the local governments to stand on their own and be accountable directly to the citizens without worrying about the political thought or ideology of the state government. But this is a double-edged sword. So as we continue this conversation, I'll share what I think about the idea that local governments are not tied directly to the federal government in terms of the fact that that's where the funding comes from. That's where the lobbying will also start from.
All right, Dayo, let's bring you in. You've been in the thick of things as a former local government secretary. Could you talk to us about the position that's just been put forward by George, that it might be a double-edged sword?
Well, to me, I don't see it that way, because I see this judgment as a positive development in the right direction. The Nigerian state have been, over the years, been raped by our governors. I have been a local government functionary at local government, my local government, Akiyele local government. And I can tell you in practical terms that what the local government goes through is nothing to write home about. In fact, we should not even be stating it here, because some of those news are nothing, they are not things that Nigerians will be happy to hear. The local government has been turned into an appendix or the extension of the governor's house. And this judgment is just what Nigerians need for us to get the right development. Development is really at the local government level, whether you like it or not. The majority of Nigerians are suffering at the local government level. So, you know, giving the excuses that lobbying or what have you, that is not the issue for now. In fact, to me, what I would say is that as an agenda to develop the local government level and to develop the Nigerian state at the local government level, we should start pushing that Section 308 should now, our legislature should work on the Section 308, which gives governors immunity, by creating, you know, a particular clause that will make it difficult for governors to tamper with, you know, the finances of the local government.
Dayo, we just got a ruling. I mean, let's talk about that one a little more. I'll come back to you in a bit. But George, he doesn't agree with you that it's a double-edged sword. So I'd like you to explain a little what you mean when you say it's a double-edged sword. We know that there has been reaction. I've read some experts talk about the dangers. Even the former governor of Delta State, James Ibori, has talked about how it undermines the principle of federalism as outlined in the Constitution. Please talk to us.
I mean, I will call it a double-edged sword, and I'll stand by what I said, because we know that you have to be accountable to the person that provides you the funding. They are the ones who will look and say, how have you spent what you spent, and what do you need for a second one? That doesn't mean I disagree with the judgment. As a matter of fact, not only do I agree with the judgment, I'm also going further to say that the Supreme Court should make a statement concerning the elections, that the state electoral commissions should be scrapped, and there should be a different way in which we present and we produce local government chairmen. So that is there. So financial autonomy is fine, and the autonomy of local government in terms of interference with governors, nobody accepts it. But we every issue with a very objective. Have to be very careful not to endorse everything without looking at it objectively. So my interest as a party chairman is to look to see whether or not there are hidden traps, and there are issues we're going to deal with 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, 5 years down the line. We have to go back to 1999 and when this new dispensation came in, the democratic dispensation. We saw abuses by the federal government in some states by withdrawing local government funds. Now, the reason they were doing that was because, in quotes, state governments had begun to create what were called illegal entities. But you see, even that made the local government starve. So why can't we create an entity that guarantees the funds of the local government without having to pass through the approval, whether intrinsic or extrinsic, of the powers that be at the federal government? So what I'm looking at is this: if you are going to create autonomy, let it be total. Let not one part is total. I mean, one part is autonomy. The other part you still need to rely on a state's electoral commission. Another part you still have to rely on the federal agencies that are in charge of allocations. What we are saying is this: is a third tier of government. Whatever is guaranteed to the federal government, guaranteed to the state government, should come straight to the local government, and the electoral processes, creating, the agencies that are going to be in charge of those electoral processes and the local government should be utterly autonomous. You shouldn't have state government deciding who is the permanent secretary of the state electoral commission. We're back to the same thing. Okay. And don't forget, political parties are still going to campaign, and these political parties are going to campaign as one. So we really need the people to be directly involved in controlling the direction in which local government autonomy is going. That's why I believe that even though the Supreme Court has given a good judgment, we should look at it in total and see how we can implement it in a way that the citizens and the electors...
I will come back to you on the options available, if any, to maybe review the ruling. But for now, let's go back to Dayo. There's been a lot of complaint over the years about how the local government is starved of fund, and you obviously are in support of the ruling. So talk to us briefly, outline some of the benefits and the impact that this ruling will have on local governments.
Well, I agree with the speaker,
George,
the last speaker, that the local government autonomy, as it is now by this judgment, it doesn't make it El Dorado. I agree with that. We need to have an holistic restructuring of the local governments as it is today, because we cannot say because we have this judgment, we might be creating, we might be taking off killing a monster to create another one. I don't agree with that. So in tandem with what he's saying, I think I will agree with the fact that we need to look at the whole local government holistically and see what happens to the organogram of the local government. You have a civil service structure that is more educated, more exposed in the local government, and you have a school staff becoming the chairman of the local government. That to me is total rubbish. At the 21st century, we need to raise the bar. We can't just say because we are creating autonomy, then we allow people who have fail out to be becoming local government chairman. That to me is not worth it. I think I agree with him on that. We need to have an holistic approach to solving the problem. But this particular judgment is a right step in the right direction, but we need to go for that.
You haven't even made an attempt to answer the part of the question about the impact, and we're out of time. So I will hold on to that part of the question.
The impact, I'm coming to that. The impact is that it will make people to be able to choose the right person they want at the local government. But what I'm saying is that in choosing people they want at the local government to govern them, we need to create a system of assimilation system into the local government. The recruitment system, we have to check it. A situation whereby from oligarchy people, some people sit down and just pick people to become local government, answerable to them. We might be chasing a monster to create another one. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, we're time pressed, so I would have to interject and give George maybe the closing remarks for this interview. Quickly, is there any opportunity really for a review? It is a Supreme Court ruling.
Oh, yes, the review is not so much. You know, the federal government took the state governments to court, over 27 legal principles concerning local government autonomy. So what we've got now is financial autonomy. There are lots of other issues that are attached to it that we now have to test in the lower court again. How the elections are held, how local government staff are recruited. Are they staff of the state government, in which case 100% of all the people in local government will still belong to the governor. So those are things that we call review to create the right kind of autonomy that will serve the Nigerian people at the local level, which is where government should be felt. So really, it's an opportunity to start, and then let's finish what we started.
Thank you, George, for keeping it brief. And gentlemen, Dayo, thank you as well for being on the news. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Away from that, Nigeria's former Minister of Power, Saleh Maman, who collapsed before his hearing at the Federal High Court in Abuja, has been remanded in Kuje Prison in Abuja pending the consideration of his bail application. Justice James Omotosho issued the order on Thursday after the court resumed Maman's arraignment on money laundering charge, which was earlier stepped down by the judge. The former minister pleaded not guilty to the charge preferred against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. The EFCC had filed a 12-count money laundering charge against Maman. He was alleged to have committed money laundering offences to the tune of 33 billion naira. All right, let's now tell you that in Edo State, the governor, Godwin Obaseki, on Thursday inaugurated a 20-member transition committee to pilot the smooth transition of power and knowledge to the next administration 4 months before the end of his administration. The committee is chaired by former Commissioner for Finance in the state, Joseph Eboige. Obaseki inaugurated the committee members at the ESCO chambers in the Government House, Benin City, with some members joining virtually. According to him, a proper digital and regular data room will be created where all documents related to every activity, contract, ESCO decision, presentation and policy paper in every area will be retrieved, documented and chronicled, as it will serve as institutional memory for the next and subsequent administrations. In Rivers State, the Citizens Action for Good Governance has accused some lawmakers known as the G60 lawmakers of intentionally misleading the public over the Federal High Court judgment regarding the Rivers State House of Assembly crisis. The group says that the lawmakers led by Ikenga Ugochinyere intentionally misrepresented the judgment of the High Court over the 27 suspended Rivers State House of Assembly lawmakers, a situation it has found troubling. My colleague Amadine Uyi explains.
The recent Federal High Court judgment, which dismissed an initial judgment by the Rivers State High Court, which sacked 27 lawmakers in Rivers State House of Assembly, recognizing that their status as lawmakers came as a shocker to many. Some members of parliament from the House of Representatives, known as the G60 lawmakers, were quick to deny that the courts readmitted the 27 lawmakers.
The pro-Wike 27 sacked Rivers lawmakers remains sacked, their seat remains vacant, as the appeal court today didn't decide on the legality of their decampment and the declaration of their seat vacant.
However, this has not gone down well with several persons and groups in the country, as one group, the Citizens Action for Good Governance, has accused the G60 lawmakers of intentionally misrepresenting the facts and aiming to deceive the public.
Their recent misinterpretation of court of appeal and judgment is a glaring example of this. They deliberately distort the judgment to suit their own narrative, impairing the integrity of the court in the process.
So for an individual who is a product of society to come and misrepresent and criticize the views of learned judges, I mean, it's a mark of disrespect for the judiciary. And nobody, I repeat, will do that in a civilized climate, in a civilized society.
They urge the Rivers State governor to seek a political solution and return back to the initial agreement made with President Bola Tinubu in the interest of peace.
Finding a political, finding solutions, towards resolving the issue, one has to do with going back to status quo antebellum, which is the initial idea espoused by Mr. President, who himself is a Democrat.
The group is calling on stakeholders involved in the Rivers State political crisis to put the people first in the interest of citizens of the state. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Let's bring you one of our top stories tonight, that the meeting between President Bola Tinubu and labor union leaders to finalize agreement on the minimum wage has been adjourned till next week. The meeting was adjourned after about 1 hour discussions at the presidential villa in Abuja. President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Joe Ajaero, has said the status quo on 250,000 naira as minimum wage stands, while the federal government and organized private sector agreed on 62,000 naira. President Bola Tinubu had said he needed time to consult with other stakeholders before sending the bill for the new minimum wage to the National Assembly. Let's get some views on this. We're joined now by public affairs analyst Jide Ojo. Jide, it's good to have you on the news. Thanks for joining us.
Felicity, it's my pleasure. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. This was a highly anticipated meeting. Were you expecting to hear the NLC president say afterwards that the union did not negotiate at the meeting and that, in the real sense, it wasn't a negotiation but a discussion?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, because the negotiating team has already been dissolved after the submission of their report. They've met and they have made their recommendations to the president. So the president is just consulting before making up his mind and sending an executive bill to the National Assembly for the legal processes that will lead to the formal takeoff of the new minimum wage. So what the labor unions had, the meeting they had with the president today was just a kind of consultative meeting. And you could see that the labor leaders have asked that they needed to get back to their organs and discuss and give feedback. And they have agreed to meet in another week's time, in a week's time. So what the president has done is in order so that at the end of the day, the president is not seen not to have consulted widely enough before taking a final decision.
But today, let me interject and just ask the question that's at the edge of my mind. Conversations has been ongoing. Labour has met with different representatives from the government. One would expect that at this stage, the president will have all the issues and all the burning questions at the tip of his hand. So when he has conversation with these gentlemen, it will be to just finalize things. Isn't this dragging on too long?
Well, it is dragging too long. Don't forget, Felicity, this is a federation. Left to the federal government, maybe it will not have minded paying 100,000 minimum wage, but it has to carry along the organized private sector and then the state government. So that's why the committee of 37 that was set up under former head of service AG, they have to find a median, which is 62,000 naira. And you could see that even the state government were kicking that they don't have that 62,000. So can the federal government go alone and announce a figure when other arms or other tiers of government would denounce and say, well, we don't have the capacity to pay, or the organized private sector will say we don't have capacity to pay. And I saw the wisdom in what Labour is also doing. Labour has marshaled its own argument. First, when you look at inflation, when you look at dependency ratio and several other factors, 250,000 seems like a reasonable amount, but no government in Nigeria today will pay that much. So, but can the government in good conscience says that 62,000 is the apex, is the ceiling that it can pay, knowing full well that with 30,000 minimum and the 35,000 net, which is already by work.
Okay, I think the network is interrupting Jide from finishing his submission, but he seems to think, I'm assuming, that the very likelihood of 250,000 as new minimum wage is very slim. Do we have Jide back? Jide, can you hear me?
Can you hear me, Felicity?
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, go ahead and conclude your thoughts. We lost you for a bit.
So what I'm saying is that, can the federal government in good conscience say that it cannot pay more than 62,000 naira, knowing full well that workers are already enjoying at least minimally about 75,000 naira now. There is 30,000 minimum wage, 12,000 naira peculiar allowance that was approved by Buhari administration, and then the 35,000 wage award. So how would you be paying that amount, almost 75,000 naira, and then you are coming to negotiation and saying that you cannot pay more than 62,000 naira? I mean, in fairness to Nigeria labor unions, I feel that government can do better. If it cannot go beyond 75, it should not go below. But by and large, I think 1 week of consultation will not do any harm. It will just allow all the tripartite, the parties to have an holistic view of what is doable, what is going to be sustainable, because it's all about sustainability, affordability and sustainability. Those are the two critical elements in this negotiation.
All right, we're out of time for this conversation, Jide, so I'll just quickly ask, do you expect us to have a close to this conversation after the meeting next week?
I hope so. I do hope so, because already the last minimum wage has lapsed as at April 18, 2024. So government is in the deficit. This should have been concluded before May 1. But at least we have assurances that the government said whenever they eventually decide on the new minimum wage, workers will start to enjoy it from 1st of May, which means essentially that nothing will be lost. But I just feel that the spirit of give and take, federal government, state government, and the organized private sector can do something like 75,000, 80,000 minimally. And that will mean the labor also shifting ground from their Olympian heights of 250,000 I don't think any reasonable government will jump from 30,000 to 250,000. Where will it find the resources? More so that you have only 10% of the population of every state.
I personally look forward to a shocker. I personally look forward to a shocker where the federal government will say, maybe I'll give you 200,000. Thank you very much for speaking with us, by the way.
I hope New Central will pay you that minimum wage when eventually is announced.
They are.
We look forward. Let's just hope that we are able to avert any industrial action, strike, and all of that.
I hope so too.
We do not need that at this point. We need some political and economic stability.
All right. Thank you again. We'll go on a short break. The news continues after. Thank you for staying with us. Let's now go back to stories around local government in Nigeria. Ahead of the Delta State local government elections slated for Saturday, 13th July, the State Commissioner of Police, Olufemi Abaniwondu, has ordered massive deployment across the state to ensure heat-free exercise. This is coming as many residents show high level of preparedness for the polls. News Central's correspondent Austin Azu completes the report.
At the popular Ogbogonogo market here in Asaba, where the trader seems to be so aware about the local government elections. However, how prepared are these traders for the local government elections bid to hold on Saturday?
On that very day, I will come out and vote as a citizen of Nigeria.
Make people come out, come vote, make everything change.
My advice for the election day, make peace reign. Make they do the election with peace, so that the right person may God choose that for us, so that make everything do okay.
My advice is that they do the election free and fair, one. Then number two, not after voting another party. They'll go and give they'll pack all our ballot paper to put in one box.
Well, the State Electoral Commissioner said the peace accord signed by the 10 political parties is a sign to assure residents of the state of a peaceful exercise, even as it warns against any act of violence before, during and after the exercise.
Those who want to come for voting should conduct themselves peacefully, and also that nobody should allow himself or herself to be sponsored, to truncate the system, because anybody that violates the electoral rule or breaches the electoral laws will be promptly prosecuted and then severely dealt with.
In the same vein, the State Commissioner of Police said the command is synerging with sister agencies, has deployed massive security personnel across the states, all polling units, racks, coalition centers and DSEC offices to ensure a hitch-free exercise. He further maintained that there will be a restriction of vehicular movements from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday, saying only officials on emergency and essential duties, which include accredited election monitors and observers, will be allowed passage. The state police boss also revealed that NAPTEC examination students are also exempted from this restriction of movement order.
When we started these preparations, we decided that it is important and it is imperative that we bring the knowledge and the expertise and the guidance of the police force headquarters. So we wrote to the headquarters, and the headquarters, in its magnanimity, has decided to support us. A number of additional assets, including personnel, have been deployed to us, which we have deployed to strategic places. For every election, you look at the black spots, the hot spots. We have identified this, intelligence gathering is ongoing, and the assets so deployed and from the headquarters has been deployed to these places to support. So we are ready.
About 3,221,600 voters from the INEC voters list are expected to participate in the local government elections on Saturday. In Asaba, for News Central, Austin Azu.
In East Africa, Kenya's President William Ruto has dismissed most of his cabinet after deadly protests against his plan to raise more than $2 billion in new taxes. In an address to the nation on Thursday, Ruto retained his deputy and prime cabinet secretary. The move comes after he scrapped the plan to levy duties on everything from bread to diapers following protests that left at least 41 people dead.
on the measures I announced last week, barring state and public officers from engaging in harambes, I want to inform the country that the Public Fundraising Appeals Bill is now ready for publication tomorrow. However, even with the progress we have made, I am acutely aware that the people of Kenya have very high expectations of me. And they believe that this administration can undertake the most extensive transformation in our nation's history. Recent events that necessitated the withdrawal of the finance bill, which will require a review and reorganization of our budget and fiscal management, have brought us to an inflection point.
Let's now bring you some business news.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Welcome. In business news, Nigeria's oil regulator has reached an agreement with producers to allow the sale of crude to domestic refiners at market prices, resolving a supply dispute that strained relations with international oil companies. Nigeria currently relies on fuel imports due to limited refining capacity, but the operational Dangote refinery, with a capacity of 650,000 barrels per day, aims to make the country self-sufficient and even enable exports. The agreement addresses concerns raised by the Dangote refinery about excessive premiums and limited supplies from oil majors. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, emphasized the importance of domestic refining and pledged to prevent price triangulation and profit sharing. The regulator called for transparent monthly price quotes to balance upstream development and a sustainable domestic energy supply chain. Uganda plans to boost its foreign exchange reserves by purchasing domestic gold, following similar strategies by other African nations. The Bank of Uganda will buy bullion directly from local artisanal miners, reducing the need for raw gold imports. This aligns with Nigeria's proposal to strengthen reserves through domestic gold purchases, while Zimbabwe has introduced a gold-backed currency. Ghana mandates that major miners sell refined gold to the central bank. Despite prudent monetary policies, Uganda's economy faces challenges due to anti-LGBTQ legislation and declining reserves. The gold purchase program aims to support artisanal miners and enhance foreign currency reserves. However, Uganda currently has limited mining operations, though plans for a new refinery are underway. Concerns exist regarding illicit gold smuggling from the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. And finally, the High State Council, HSC, based in Tripoli, Libya, has rejected a budget approved by the parliament in Benghazi, citing concerns of further division and wastage of public funds. Council head Mohamed Takala conveyed the rejection in a letter sent House of Representatives Speaker Aguila Saleh. The House approved two separate budgets, one worth 90 billion Libyan dinars in April and an additional budget of 88 billion Libyan dinars. The budget is for the Benghazi-based government led by Osama Hamad, who came to power in March 2023 and is aligned with military commander Khalifa Haftar. The council criticized the House's persistent transgressions and called for a challenge against any laws issued in violation. That's our offering on business news at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasamipita. To enjoy the rest of the day. Bye for now.
In the world of sport, Nigeria's Olympic gold medalist Adesewa Odusoga has been appointed as a technical advisor for the Saudi Arabian Athletic Development Program. He will join immediately the Saudi Arabia athletics team for the upcoming Olympic Games, beginning from July 26 as an observer. Odusoga, who won gold at the 2000 Sydney Olympics, transitions to his new role this weekend after serving as the technical director of the Lagos State Athletics Association for the last 3.5 years. Speaking during a media party organized by the association today, Odusoga conveyed his enthusiasm and outlined his goals to enhance athletics development in Saudi Arabia. The arrivals of forwards Uchenna Kanu and Chiwendu Ihezuo at the Super Falcons camp in Seville, Spain on Thursday afternoon brought the number of players in camp to 20, with only defender Oluwatosi Dimei and forward Chinonyerem McLean still expected as the nine-time African champions intensify preparations for their return to the Women's Olympic football tournament. Both players are scheduled to arrive at the team's camp on Friday afternoon. A full camp by Friday means coach Randy Waldrum and his assistants will have 5 days to work with the entire squad, as well as the alternates, ahead of the Wednesday training match with reigning Olympic champions Canada. The Super Falcons will fly to France on Thursday, 18th of July, exactly a week to the tournament opening match against illustrious opponent Brazil at the Stade Bordeaux. Nigeria's representatives Rangers and Remo Stars have discovered their opponents in the preliminary round of the CAF Champions League. Following the draw ceremony held at the CAF headquarters in Cairo, Egypt on Thursday, MPFL champions Rangers were paired with US Zilimanjo of Comoros. Should Rangers proceed, they will face the winner of the tie between St. Louis of Mauritius and Angola's GDSC. Meanwhile, Remo Stars will face old foes Asfar of Morocco, who eliminated them from the 2022 edition. Should they progress, the Kenya club will face either Sudan's Al Merrikh or Libya's representatives in the second preliminary round. The first legs will be played between 16th to 18th of August, while the return fixtures are scheduled between 23 to 25 of August. Meanwhile, Al-Kanemi Warriors have been drawn against Dajé FC of Benin Republic in the preliminary round of the CAF Confederation Cup 2024 to 2025 campaign. The President Federation Cup winners qualified for the competition after winning the title for the third time, following a 2-0 victory over Abia Warriors in the final. Al-Kanemi Warriors will begin their continental adventure at home when they host Dajé FC in the first leg of the round, before travelling away for the second leg. Nigeria's second representative, Aimba of Aba, drew by. Finally, in the world of sport, former Mamelodi Sundowns head coach Rulani Mokwena was on Thursday afternoon confirmed as the new coach of Moroccan giants Wydad Athletic Club. The move to Morocco comes after Mokwena was relieved of his duties as Sundowns, despite guiding them to a 7th straight PSL title. Mokwena joins Wydad following a tough period for the Casablanca Giants. Last season, they could only manage 6th place in the Bertola Pro and had to watch Joseph Zimbua's coach City rivals Raja Casablanca romp to the title without losing a game, while Nasruddin Nabi's Asfar Rabat finished second. And that's it in the world of sport. I am Onyinyechi Obaru.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited. On Entertainment Tonight, YBNL frontman Olamide has joined legendary Fela Kuti as the only Nigerian artist with the most entries on the Billboard World Albums chart, following the release of his album Ikigai, which debuted at number 13. Olamide now has 7 projects on the chart, close to Fela's 9 entries. This achievement marks a significant milestone in Olamide's career, showcasing his widespread acceptance and success. Fans eagerly anticipated his return, and he has not disappointed. Looking ahead, Olamide has teased numerous plans for 2024, including a highly anticipated world tour. The late Nigerian singer and songwriter Olarewaju Fasasi, better known as Sound Sultan, has released a new single titled Street OT through his management. The track, featuring rapper Ice Prince and rising star DJ Shabzy Ace, was released 3 years after his death, ensuring his legacy continues. Produced by his longtime collaborator ID Kabasa, Street OT commemorates the 3rd anniversary of the talented artist. Let's also remember that in 2023, Spyro, known for Who's Your Guy, was featured on Sound Sultan's Money Race. Additionally, Sound Sultan's fans have been treated to posthumous releases like the 5-track EP Reality Check, which was released in 2022 to mark the 1st anniversary of his passing. That's all on Entertainment Tonight. Tonight on What's Trending, the hashtag Olu Jacobs takes center stage as the veteran actor celebrates his 82nd birthday today after 2 weeks of false death rumors circulated on social media. His wife, Joke Silva, took to her Instagram to celebrate her husband of more than 35 years with a series of heartwarming posts. This sparked reactions on social media. Let's take a look at some tweets. At Chaplina 70, special people are born in July. I hear it's Sir Olu Jacobs' birthday today and he's 82. My prayer is that his remaining days on earth be to the glory of God and may his wife be strengthened for him and those around them, including their children. At Call Me Becky, happy birthday to our grand icon and legend, our own uncle Olu Jacobs, 82 years and still strong. Many more years to be celebrated. At Femi For You, happy birthday to Olu Jacobs, who turns 82 today. Joke Silva is such a beautiful woman. That same energy will not take spread fake news 2 weeks ago about Olu Jacobs. Oh yeah, use that same energy, wish him happy birthday. At FR Ugochukwu, happy 82nd birthday to the veteran Nollywood actor Olu Jacobs. He created a lot of childhood memories for most of us that grew up watching his movies. May God bless him with strength and good health. That's all on What's Trending tonight.
And that's all tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Meeting between Bola Tinubu and Labour leaders have been adjourned. Supreme Court grants full financial autonomy to 774 local government areas. Governor Obaseki begins handover process, sets up transition committee. We also brought you news that the Kenyan president has dismissed almost entire cabinet after protests. I'd like to hear from you. Please send your eyewitness reports to the numbers showing now on your screen. You can follow us on social media at News Central TV to do that as well. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Good night.